Hello, this is Dr. Brandon again, and in this video what we're going to be talking about is the second meditation. And we're going to be starting here with the first and second slide presentations of the second meditation. And the second meditation is all about Descartes' discovery of knowledge. So we're going to start with, I think, therefore I am. And what's happened is that Descartes at the end of the first meditation had reached what I would call a pinnacle of doubt. So he had created all of these reasons for doubt. So he no longer knew what to believe or if he should believe anything. Well, let's start with this quotation. I will suppose then that everything I see is fictitious. I will believe that my memory tells me nothing but lies. I have no senses. Body shape, extension, movement, and place are illusions. So what remains true? Perhaps just the one fact that nothing is certain. So this is the pinnacle of doubt. Now, if Descartes stays here, he would become a skeptic, someone who says, well, it doesn't seem that we can know anything, and therefore we should, at least for now, suspend judgment about everything. But Descartes is not a skeptic. Actually, Descartes wrote the Meditations to combat skepticism. He wanted to show that even with the most powerful skeptical arguments available, it's still possible to find truth about something. And how is he doing this in the Meditations? What he's doing with the skeptical arguments is he's not refuting them directly, he's actually using them. He's developing reasons for doubt to use as a solvent. So what he's doing with the reasons for doubt is he's kind of metaphorically pouring them over his beliefs. Remember, we have millions of beliefs. He pours them over all of his beliefs by attacking those principles for his beliefs. Pours the solvent onto his beliefs. And what happens to the false beliefs? They dissolve and disappear. We suspend judgment on them. And what happens to the true ones, if there are any? They should remain, right? And so the idea is the doubt will get rid of your false beliefs and leave your true ones with which you can build a foundation of knowledge. So that's this idea of using reason for doubt, not as a way to get rid of all belief, but as a way to reveal what's true. And that's how he's using the skepticism to eventually refute it, to show us that there is some truth. That's what he claims. Well, what is that truth? If we go to the next slide, we'll see it right here. I think, therefore I am. What is he saying here? He's saying it must be true that I'm thinking. It must be true that you are thinking. Why is that? Well, imagine there's an evil demon trying to deceive us. The evil demon can deceive us about many things, but can the evil demon deceive us about our own thoughts? Can we be deceived that we are thinking? No, because to be deceived, especially if we go to the next slide here, to be deceived, we have to be doing what? We have to be thinking. So if you're deceived that you're thinking, then you're doubting that you're thinking. And doubting is a kind of thinking. And being deceived is a kind of thinking. So if you have doubts that you're thinking, then you are thinking. If you're being deceived, then you are thinking. No matter what's going on, you are thinking. So what is this one truth? I think. And if you think, then what? Let's go back to this one for a moment. If you think, then you must be existing. That's the idea. Where's the thought coming from? Must be coming from somewhere. And now we have, right, the foundation for Descartes' system of knowledge. Right? I think, therefore I am. These are the foundational truths that he is going to use to build more truths on top of. So let's go to the second slide presentation from the second meditation. What am I? The old view. And so what he's going to start with here are these questions he has. He thinks he's discovered some foundational truths, right? I think, therefore I am. So I think and I am. But more questions immediately pop up, such as, what am I? What kind of being am I? Why do I exist? Where do I come from? Did anything create me? What is the cause of my existence? Do others exist? Am I the only being? Are there other beings? Are there other minds? Those are the sorts of questions he thinks arise from this foundation of I think, therefore I am. And if we can start to answer these questions, we'll start to get a structure of knowledge. We'll start to get more truths about reality. And that's what, of course, he's searching for. So what am I? That's the question we're going to discuss here in this part of the course in the second slide presentation. So what am I? Well, he wants to start with this idea of a rational animal. Let me read these quotes. Well, then, what did I think I was? A man, but what is a man? Shall I say a rational animal? No, for then I should have to ask what an animal is and what rationality is. Each question would lead me on to other still harder ones, and this would take more time than I can spare. What is Descartes saying here? Well, first we need to realize that this rational animal is Descartes' definition of a human being. And of course, it says that we're animals, and that implies that we have a body. Descartes is going to reject that because right now, at this point in the meditation, he doesn't know if he has a body or not. All he knows is that he thinks and exists, but what he is, he doesn't know. So he can't assume that he's a rational animal. Furthermore, it's not quite clear what rational means, so he thinks if he starts to try to analyze these terms, starts to try to define rational animal, he'll get lost. And where he thinks he'll get lost is in medieval philosophy. And what Descartes is doing is he's trying to come up with a new philosophy. The Meditations were published in 1640. This is the early modern period. The medieval period has kind of come to an end, and there's new ways of acquiring knowledge, and Descartes wants to be part of that philosophy, that intellectual enterprise. And he thinks to do that, you have to push aside the old philosophy, the medieval philosophy. And so he doesn't want to start with Aristotle and the medieval figures and all their discussions of rational animals. He wants to start fresh with something new. So what am I? Not a rational animal, according to Descartes. So he thinks, well, what did I used to think I was? Let me read this quote. Let me focus instead on the beliefs that spontaneously and naturally came to me whenever I thought about what I was. And what comes to you when you think about what you are? Your sensory experiences, that's what comes to you. And so you think, I am a body. The first such belief was that I had a face, hands, arms, and a whole structure of bodily parts that corpses also have. I call it the body. And so what Descartes is saying is that this kind of spontaneous way to find knowledge, it's this kind of old way, is to simply rely upon the senses, which is what people naturally do. And it tells us we are a body. And we can see how someone like Aristotle might have thought we are rational animals. But what does it tell us about the mind or the soul? And for Descartes, those are the same thing. He says, the next belief was that I ate and drank, that I moved about, that I engaged in sense perception and thinking, which I thought were done by the soul. If I gave any thought to what the soul was like, I imagined it to be something thin and filmy, like a wind or fire or ether, permeating my more solid parts. And what Descartes is saying is that in this old way of thinking, this kind of spontaneous, natural way, we think that we are a body because we use our senses. And then when we realize we must have a soul or mind, we think it also must be what? Must be material, right? Wind is moving air. That's material. Fire is material. Ether is some kind of gas, we'll say, right? That's material. And so the idea here is that we realize we have a body. We realize the body moves. Why does the body move? It must have a mind or soul, an animating force. Where is the animating force? It must be in the body. Where? Throughout. Your soul is everywhere in your body. It animates your body. It makes it move. And this, of course, is the old view. Let me read this quote. I was more sure about the body, though, thinking I knew exactly what sort of thing it was. If I had tried to put my conception of the body into words, I would have said this. By a body, I understand whatever has a definite shape and position and can occupy a region of space in such a way as to keep every other body out of it. It can be perceived by touch, sight, hearing, taste, or smell, and can be moved in various ways. This is the old way. This is the way of using the senses to find knowledge. And of course, Descartes thinks this way doesn't work. So this way is not going to tell us what we are. We need a new way. And the new way, instead of using the body and the senses to discover knowledge, is going to use the mind and thought alone.